But it's like, no, you shouldn't be allowed to be a sitting duck for a corporation because they want to improve productivity, because they don't want you taking extra breaks looking at your phone, because they want to make sure you're not stealing something. Hello, beloved. Welcome to my diary. I'm Tatami. And this morning there was a mass shooting at a FedEx. And there's a detail from this that has really stood out to me throughout the day as really frustrating because of how little attention or emphasis has really been put on it. It just kind of keeps getting thrown out there and is accepted as a norm. And I don't think it's acceptable. And I do think that it reminds me very heavily of a tragedy from American history, which is the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire. Now, this fire happened in 1911. It was at a time before a lot of our current labor laws, so there were children working in this factory. One of the youngest victims of the fire was 14, and the oldest was 46. She was only 46, so these were all pretty young people. There were about 20 boys, 120 women and girls. And they were unable to get out of this fire because when it started, the door was locked from the outside, padlocked. And the reasoning for this was that it was like productivity, basically. They didn't want people to be able to take unauthorized breaks, and they didn't want people to be able to steal, reducing theft. The two men who owned the factory were able to escape to the roof with a couple of the workers, and they were brought to trial, and they essentially got off scot-free. They had to pay about a fourth of what they ended up receiving from insurance to the victims for families for wrongful death, and one of them went on to get another fine years later for doing the exact same thing, putting locks on the outside of the doors. But that first time he was able to successfully, prove that maybe they didn't know that locks were on the doors every day during work hours at their own company where they were when the fire broke out. FedEx apparently has a policy where they do not allow you to have your phone at all on you anywhere during work hours. And they have metal detectors to ensure that you don't have it. And there is no special, I prove I have kids, prove I have elder special needs person I take care of. You're not allowed to have any of those exemptions. This is just what it is. You're not allowed to have a phone there. And throughout the day, it keeps being repeated. Well, of course, they were at work. They couldn't have their phones. Of course, they were at work. They couldn't have their phones. And I'm wondering, to me, not having your phone, that's like having a lock on the door. People weren't able to just hiding under a desk, make a phone call so that the police can hear and trace. Somebody else outside had to hear it, make the connections, figure it out what it was, and put a number into the phone and do all that. That's precious minutes wasted. That's lives on the line. So to me, it blows my mind. It really blows my mind that the news keeps repeating it like that. And I even saw it on Twitter. Someone was like, and of course there was a delay because of that. And I was like, dude, you're a citizen. That doesn't bother you that FedEx is out here basically locking people up so that if they're trapped in the room with a psycho, they have no out. They have no way to escape. They are the equivalent of a bunch of people locked on the top floor of a building that's on fire with the door locked. Like the man who, especially the witness account where he says he saw the guy with the rifle and ducked down and just tried to hide out of sight because he knew that if he was seen, he was probably going to be a target. For that individual, easily could have called. His phone would have easily been able to make that phone call a quick. You don't even have to do anything on phones. You have a thing that you just slide and it calls. It's an emergency access to the emergency number. So it's just so mind-boggling to me that that's just being kind of skimmed over as like it's one of the facts. But it's like, no, you shouldn't be allowed to be a sitting duck for a corporation because they want to improve productivity, because they don't want you taking extra breaks looking at your phone, because they want to make sure you're not stealing something, because they're scared you're a thief. Those are not good enough reasons to me for people to have their lives risked working for these companies. And I don't know why that's something that is seen as acceptable and that people are okay with. After the fire that happened in 1911, pretty much that year, organizations started coming together for focusing on safety measures, for focusing on workers' rights, and it was taken a lot more seriously the ways that these people were being exploited. And honestly, we're getting to this point where, again, corporations are just such habitual line steppers, often because they can, often because we have come to just accept this type of action against us, often because it just like we're like, oh yeah, it's okay if they're treating the workers this way. But it's absolutely unacceptable. And I think that just the same way that socialists were able to make a change back then for that's the same thing that needs to happen now. That can't be something that's acceptable for a corporation to be able to tell you you can't have a phone. So there's an active shooter running around and you have no way you can call the police. You're just hiding under a desk waiting for it to all be over, and it's taking even longer and more people are dying. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today. May your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I'll see you next time.